two recruiters and a microphone back in the studio with a very special guest, Jeremy Vaughan. Jeremy Vaughan has known Pete and I for, I would say, going on 2 decades.
Close.
20 years sounds about
right.
About right.
About right.
So,
yep. I met Jeremy back in the bungalow days. So,
bungalow days when we still didn't have gray in our hair.
That's true.
All these wrinkles.
Hey, thanks, man.
for our listeners, what was the bungalow?
It was a co-working space out of the beach before co-working became popular, I would say. But yeah, it was a super cool place. But yeah, I worked out of there when I was at Hash Rocket. So, and that's when I met Jeremy.
Yeah, we were the first cool co-working spot.
I'm about to say you were the first co-working spot.
That's true.
I mean, I don't think that there was anything.
Well, the corporate ones were around. Like the super stuffy
Regis.
Ones. Yes.
Yeah. No, this was not Regis.
And what's cool is we kind of used it as a place that we would combine like designers and engineers and all kind of stuff to like combine work efforts and not look
Dennis
like an
was out
agency.
there. Varick was out there.
It was awesome.
Patrick, that designer, was upstairs. I remember him.
Yep.
Is he still around?
He's still around. In fact, my trainer at the gym, Dan the Ass Man.
Nice.
Yep. Patrick designed his logo. And I was like, Patrick designed that, didn't he? He's like, yes. I'm like, is Patrick still around?
Oh, that's awesome. That's cool. Yeah. But anyway, so 20 years.
Yeah.
Long time.
So if you've been under a rock and you don't know anything about cybersecurity or Start Left or Jeremy, then you're under a rock. So what we would like to do is take a trip down memory lane with Jeremy, and prior to his success with his new venture, start from the beginning. So Jeremy, tell us a little bit about your upbringing and how you started left from the get-go.
From the start. But I do have to give credit to anybody that is under the rock. I haven't really been engaged with Jacksonville for the last 5 years. Because,
welcome back.
Yes, thank you. I've been here. I've been living here, but I've been traveling, and my network was all Jacksonville before this venture. But so I had to grow. I had to grow my ecosystem and go from there. But we'll get to that later. So the start to entrepreneurship I started working when I was 14 years old. I had several jobs, and I created quote unquote businesses that were not LLCs. I just took cash. And so worked at an auto body restoration place that did turned badass old cars into modern badass cars, hot rods, stuff like that. Really cool job, but I didn't get to do the cool stuff. I did sandblasting and stuff. But watched the outcome, right. Of hard work. So that was really cool to see. And, I was always inspired by, who these people were that owned these cars, and every single one of them were entrepreneurs. Right. And so, these cars were like $150,000, $200,000 resto jobs. Right. And this was back in the early 90s. That's a lot of money.
Yeah. That's, I would say that's at $500,000 if we're looking at today's inflation. Yeah.
So, I do that. Obviously worked at a grocery store during that time. But the fun part and where I was making the cash I was talking about is I mowed yards a lot. So on the weekends I was always working while my friends went out and played and, went to parties and stuff like that. And then I also cleaned commercial spaces. Nobody knows that. But like I cleaned commercial spaces in our small little town, made, good money on the weekend. So from mowing the lawns to cleaning spaces and on the weekends, and then doing the other stuff during the week. And that's kind of where it started. Yeah. But then my parents made me go to college.
Oh, bummer.
The college experience was amazing. I almost quit several times.
Where'd you go to school?
Went to UNF, North Florida. Started, I had a hard time deciding what I wanted to do.
As did I.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I changed my major like 7 times.
Yeah, same. So. Like I went from like education teacher because my mom was a teacher, and then went to graphic design, then went to computer science, took a couple classes in each, and I'm like, this isn't really for me. Then went to accounting, and then went to finance, and ultimately graduated finance. But I did the 5-year plan. And so, but also had a bunch of jobs through college. I put myself through there myself. So, and then the first, I would say, big entrepreneurial scenario was I worked at Everbank. If you guys remember Everbank, they were acquired by TIA.
Which now they're back to Everbank.
Are they really?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, I saw the new logo.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, they're
So
back.
there were these two ladies that I was just they were my bosses, but they were way higher than me, right? And so I really looked up to these women, really smart. And then one day they're getting escorted out, and I'm like, what's happening? Like, and then I walked right up to them, like, I want to be with you guys. Like, whatever you're doing, I know you're doing something awesome because you're being escorted out, and I want to be a part of that. So stayed in contact. They literally pitched an idea, and they were like the first kind of innovators around internet mortgage in a community bank. Which,
wow,
they pitched this big idea. We were about $50 million in 2 years in revenue. And we marketed on Bankrate, LendingTree. Like it was a really cool experience. But seeing the process of understanding the laws and pitching and forming this business model was really cool, right? And so that got my juices flowing. Like
How old were you at the time?
That was like 24 to 28, I think.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but I was part of that journey, that growth, and saw it turn from like a couple of us to 50 plus people.
Wow.
Really cool.
Yeah.
And to get that exposure at 24 years old, is pretty awesome.
For
Yeah, very lucky.
Then recession hit. Yeah. I
think that's when I met Jeremy. It
was
the recession because I was failing at business as well.
Man, recession was
good times.
Yeah, it sucked. My wife at the time was pregnant with our child, and I was not making money, and she was not working, and so that's where my entrepreneurship kicked in again, right? And it was I need to make things work, and I looked at her and I was like, "Do you trust me?" And she's like, "Do what you need to do," right? And so, I was basically like, I think I can make more money outside of working at a corporate job than inside a corporate job. So went to one of my buddies who was a software engineer, and we formed our first business, which was we partnered with marketing agencies, and we were the back end support. Like marketing agencies suck at managing developers. Like just say it how it is. They don't follow a process. They don't understand process. It's all creative. It just doesn't work together. So we're just like, let's be the guys behind the scenes. Throw us your badass designs, and we'll build it for you, right? And we built that brand. It was cool. And then next, we kind of wound that down, and we wanted to go different directions as partners. Then the second one was version 2.0. We did the factory, right? And you mentioned the bungalow.
I remember the factory. Yeah, in St. Augustine.
Yeah. So we kind of created version 2.0, the factory, and another company around software engineering. And
that was an accelerator program.
Yeah.
What you guys were trying to do.
Yeah.
Right?
We wanted to create a kind of incubator and accelerator. So invest in startups. So we invested in startups with our own profit from the company. And unfortunately we don't have that investment anymore. So most of these failed. What's funny is I was just in Vegas last week, and I saw a restroom alert posted in the bathroom. And I'm like, has this been sitting here for like 12, 15 years and they just never removed it? Or are they still in business? I don't know.
Wow, I remember that startup.
Yeah.
Restroom
So like
alert. Yeah.
It was at the Mandalay. And I'm like, is this thing a dead sticker that's sticking on the bathroom mirror for like
That's really
years?
funny.
I took a picture of it.
That's awesome.
But no, so we invested in these own companies, right? And so it became like a hit in town, and we were the first and only accelerator program in Florida. So like we were getting all this press. Yep. And we weren't experts at that. So we were, again, building a startup with other startups. Within a startup.
Yeah.
And so
you yourselves were a startup.
Right.
It turned into the most expensive marketing fail ever. But did it really? Because the other startup that we were in actually blew up from it. So
See, I would correct you. Instead of the most expensive marketing fail, I would say that was capital that you spent on entrepreneurial education.
yeah, agreed. We became experts in entrepreneurship ourselves. I like that.
So
it was
it wasn't
more than
a failure.
expensive
It was,
Ivy League.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. It was very expensive learning
Yes.
experience.
It's all right.
Yeah.
It obviously turned out for the best now,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, and I actually said, if you see it on my LinkedIn profile, I joke about the factory experience, and I'm like, we lost money like VCs like crazy. I can't even remember what I said, but it's kind of funny when you go look at what I say for the factory. But yeah, it netted us experience, which we needed.
Yep.
So yeah, was part of that startup that kind of emerged for like 8 years. And in that, we were doing CI/CD and cloud and all that kind of stuff at the beginning, right? 2008, 9. And before,
I was about to say, before it ever became what it is now.
Yeah. DevOps, DevSecOps, all that kind of stuff is all new language. And we were like, yeah, we've been doing that like way before. And so part of what we did at that company is we read a lot of books that helped us form the company in a way that DevOps should operate. And there's a guy that wrote a book that kind of took that and put his experience in it and said, this is DevOps and this is why, and kind of, but we did it as a consulting company. So Gene Kim, the Phoenix Project, wrote about DevOps and like, here's how you do it. Here's how your team should be formed, things like that. But DevOps is really meant to build high performing teams that build high quality software. Mm-hmm. Right. And so that's what our company was about. That's how we differentiated. And
yeah, the company you keep. I remember that as a marketing.
100%. Yeah. And so we had top talent and we were fast and, we thought outside of the box. So we innovated. Mm-hmm. Right. And so we started automating our processes to make our consultants faster. And, our CTO and CIO champions were like, what are you guys doing? Because you're moving faster than any of your other competitors, like the outsourcers that we use. And so we're like, we're doing this automation, blah, blah, blah. And as we started to get more bigger clients, security started becoming a question, right? It's like, hey, especially in healthcare, we had healthcare clients. So like, how are you guys going to build in compliance and validate that and security, So like, I took over the reins of the automation per se that had no UI UX, and frankly, we weren't really following the lean startup Bible, if you will. And I was like, is anybody showing this to any customers? Like they're asking about it. Why aren't we showing it to them? Everybody's embarrassed. It looks ugly. It doesn't, it's like, no, like Zuckerberg says, if you're not embarrassed when you show it, like you're too late. Yeah, right. Yeah, so I'm like, let me take the reins. I will bring this around. I will show it to people. And I ran into a CISO, a chief information security officer in town. And he was like, man, if you did this, he like literally gave me the first kind of 6 months roadmap. It was like
roadmap.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
he's like, if you can accomplish this on top of what you've already done, like you have a real product here. And so I brought it back to the team. I was like, listen, here's what we need to build. Right. And we have we need to evolve this from like a CTO focused platform to a security focused platform, and we'll build it. Right. And we'll go. And that's what we did. Right. And so got really passionate about security because I was pretty much a product owner there while I was trying to do sales and everything on the other startup. And, it got to a point where we need to figure out how to turn this thing into its own thing. And so, man, that was where the heartache and the pressures and the everything happened.
Yeah, the hard conversations, right?
Yeah.
Hard things about hard things.
Hard things about hard things, right? And so, reached out to, Jim Phillip. And you're here in town, Verve Technology, success here. Reached out to Jim. Jim was a mentor at the time and said, hey, I'm looking for a CEO that can help us spin out this other startup outside this company. And within 2 weeks, they found a guy, and we clicked immediately. Like he clicked with the whole entire team. He came and he's like, I want to be involved in this. he was the former CTO of AIG. He was independently wealthy in Miami, and he's like, I can come in, I can self-fund it myself for the first like seed round. I'll join. The terms were amazing that he wanted to give us, and we're going, right? We're like, we spent like the next 9 months with him. Like we're building out the product. He's like gearing up his network, all that kind of stuff. And right before we sign, Hughes' his name, and he's traveling up from Miami to Jacksonville to sign paperwork with us, get started like officially. He and his family stopped at Walt Disney World, and he has a heart attack at Walt Disney World. Yeah.
Whoa.
Oh, wow.
I don't think you guys knew that either.
No. This, man.
So this story has been, locked in the closet for, 5.5, 6 years now. And so we're like, what do we do? Right? Do we continue this? What is it? Like, we are scared. We're like, is he going to recover?
Yeah,
he wasn't able to, he was basically unconscious and not breathing for 9 minutes during that time.
Yep.
So
man,
he wasn't able to recover. So we were sitting there kind of for a month, like, getting, his hands are moving, whatever. But he actually a month later passes away. And so we're all sad, what do we do? Like, we're stuck. Like, what do we do? Because that whole plan that we've been working on for almost a year just goes away. And so I never meant or sought out to be a CEO before. And so I was scared, right? And so I was like, I don't know, like, who's going to take the reins on this thing, right? And so that begins the personal story. You guys know my daughter is a type 1 diabetic. And so we use a constant glucose monitor that transmits data to a mobile application, and it gives us what her blood sugar is, right? And if she goes low, it alerts us. If she goes high, it alerts us. That thing changed our behavior to allow us to sleep at night for the first time in like 5 years.
Right.
New parents don't sleep for 6 months.
No.
We didn't sleep for 5 years.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah.
So we're like, this technology is amazing, right? So it changed our behavior. One night, it literally stopped working. She was a 47 blood sugar for 3 hours. It never alerted us. And so she woke us up. She was scared. That could have turned into a seizure. She could have died in her sleep. That is bullshit from a $1 billion company that cannot maintain their software. And here's what I found to back up cannot maintain their software. Went to the iTunes store, went to the Google store, read a bunch of their reviews. We weren't the only ones experiencing this. And little tiny secret or note there was they hadn't updated their mobile application in 2.5 years. So as your OS on the iPhone and the Android updates, the code's literally breaking every single time it updates while the mobile app is not updated, right? So this is why we have to maintain high quality software. Right. It could be life-threatening. You flip that on the business world, our infrastructure, our critical infrastructure, every single business that's built on software is fragile. Like, it is not quality software. There's a very small percentage of teams that actually care about this. That's our mission. And this is why we are purpose driven because of that story of my daughter. And that's the story of my daughter is why I took the reins to become that CEO, launch this company.
That's amazing.
Go through the process of the personal journey to become who I am today, but also to build a company that does have a purpose behind it and a mission. And that's where we are today. And I can go into all that, but I've been talking probably for like 20 minutes.
No. This is.
We invited you here to talk.
Right.
No one wants to hear Pete talk.
Absolutely not.
I mean, I'm just speaking on people like my voice.
Yeah.
But,
They like your voice and you're funny. So
there it is. No, that's absolutely amazing. And no, I did not know that, but I that's incredible.
Yeah.
Like the mission.
It's crazy, right? And what's cool is I met a gentleman. I don't know if you guys met John Schultz yet. He moved into town from Charleston. Great guy, and that I met him at the very beginning, and in this journey, which I didn't go over, I had a legal battle, right? I pretty much had a divorce to get this technology outside the patent outside of that other company. And it was just a bad time. Like I was in a really dark place trying to launch a new company. And I'm like, what the hell do I do? Right. Like I can't fight personal finances versus a company that has millions of dollars that can go head to head with me with an attorney. Right. And so
would this be also right around the time of COVID?
This is right before.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like, dude, this is like one thing after the other is hitting me. And I'm just like, anybody in their right mind would give the fuck up.
Yeah. Right.
So I still got more to this story. Right.
Yeah.
So I knew John Schultz. We had been friends for the last couple of years. He was selling his company and, he's like, Jeremy, I believe in you. Like, he's like, get your fucking technology. And he gave me money. He was our first angel round. I didn't even have the technology. He's just like, I know you're going to get it. And he gave me money. That's why I had to form that company name with the shitty name we talked about outside.
Which I still can't pronounce.
Nobody could. Right. There's a story there too. But yeah.
Oh, do tell.
But no, we had launched, like created a company name really quick to collect that capital. And that enabled me to actually go and fight the legal battle that I had to go through. And, it was painful. It was really painful. And I walked away from a lot of money. It sucked. So we basically took that. I didn't miss a beat. Like I kept on executing. I was recruiting. I was like, I need some co-founders. I was literally building this plane without a technology or product. I was just like, I'm going to get it. Like, just believe me, I'm going to get it. I will have this thing. People believed in it. They believed in the mission, the purpose, and they started joining me. And that was really cool and validating that I was on the right path, but also like that people believed in what we were doing and trusted me that I would deliver, right, and get a company going. And so then I get invited to this, apply to this accelerator program. We get into this accelerator program in Hartford, InsurTech, where all the companies are invested kind of to help you get that feedback, do proof of concepts with you, all that kind of stuff. So that was a really great opportunity. As we're starting to get more into it, we're about 4 or 5 weeks in of a 12-week program. They gave us money, a grant actually that didn't take equity, which is awesome. But we're starting to talk to all these corporate companies, and then freaking COVID hits. This is when COVID hits.
Gotcha, yeah.
Like, I'm looking out my window in this apartment because I had to stay there, right? I'm looking at it. And all I see is a ticker going around this building about COVID, and nobody's in the streets. And I'm like, this is freaking weird, right? And the managing partner of this program reaches out to all of us, and she's like, hey, we're going to send all you guys home. The world is shutting down.
Yeah.
And so we lost all of that snowball effect of, we had money lined up, even here in town, one of the big insurers, healthcare companies, I'm talking about, we had a big deal with them. And we had a POC going with them. And literally they're like, Jeremy, we have to make, I think they had 9,000 employees at the time. They're like, we have to make 6,000 employees virtual, and this is unplanned budget, right? And so we're going to have to shut down our initiative here, and we'll get back to you.
We have to refocus.
Correct. Right. And I'm like
everybody. Yes. Everybody had to refocus. Yes. Like, come March of 2020, everybody had to refocus.
Oh my God. It was such a pain. Like millions of dollars down. Like, I had investors lined up. They're like, if you get these deals, like, we're going to throw money at you. And then COVID hits. So go back to the drawing board. Like, what the hell are we going to do? Nobody's working. Nobody's paying attention. And it was awesome. It was also like good timing, right? And so I didn't give up. I was like, you know what? This is good timing because the market understanding of what we are doing isn't there yet anyways, right? And so I saw competitors come out that got, $8, $10, $12 million during this time, like either right before COVID or right after. And in retrospect, I look back and they got acquired via pennies on the dollar because they built this infrastructure and the market wasn't ready yet. Plus, nobody was buying. And so I was like, okay, we're not going to raise capital yet. We don't really have product market fit yet. I don't have clear line of sight to achieve that yet. And the market understanding is not here, right? And so we took that time, and Joe and I, the CTO and co-founder, we just like sought out channel partners, people that could distribute us when the time was right. And we just educated people. Like there was no sales. It was just like, hey, we're here.
Just more a consultative approach.
Yeah. We can help you with services. So we built like Chief Product Security Office as a service, and we delivered that model, which actually in turn is helping us today, very different, allowing us to differentiate from our competitors. I'll get in that later. But it was just, we educated the market, and we spent
when it needed it most.
Yeah.
Right.
2021.
Because you were reflecting, like all these companies were reflecting on what they need to do.
Yep.
Because they were forced to.
And
right.
They're like, there is no freaking perimeter. Right. There is nothing like that's actually like now I don't know why it's so obvious. Like once you get everybody remote, but it's like, yeah, you don't really have security around this. Right. And then SolarWinds, which, sucks for our critical infrastructure and like demonstrating how insecure we are as a nation, also showed the opportunity for our platform. Right. It's like, we've been saying that for years. And now that it's being hacked in that way, hackers are taking advantage of software development processes, code, and
everything.
Cloud, right?
Yeah,
and
all the above. They're taking advantage of everything.
Yes. So it finally exposed our problem, right? And so now we have a solution to a known problem. And that kind of started the evolution of now people are starting to pay attention. But the research firms didn't start to do their analyst reports for a couple more years, like Gartner, Forrester, and so we're still years out. So like that hype cycle is real, right? Like when you're riding oh man, people are starting to understand that hype cycle is for real. I lived it since 2015, 16, right? So I'm almost 10 years into this damn thing. So, but yeah, I can't remember where I was going there.
Well, I mean, we're just talking about the pandemic, and it helped kind of, I would say, legitimize, and springboard what you guys were. It gave you a time period to reflect on how to build this properly.
It did,
as opposed to
So
imagine that you didn't have that, correct. You may be in a different spot today.
Yeah, I think the competitors that raised that money might have gotten a foothold before us, right?
You don't always have to be first.
You don't.
It's got to be right.
It's smarter and right. Yes. Yeah. And so I think that's what's paying off for us right now is like we didn't raise a ton of money. We were strategic. We are scrappy as hell. And everybody's like, how are you guys doing your marketing? How are you guys doing this? They're like, you only have $3 million in funding so far? Yeah. And we're almost as much revenue as our competitors that raised 50. Wow. So yeah, we must be doing something right, and we're innovating, and we're paying attention. Right. If you raise too much money, you spend it unwisely. You're spending it at booths, and you're spending $100,000, $200,000 here. And you're not paying attention. You become this sales machine. Yep. And what I've seen is like the founders didn't learn how to sell their damn thing before they brought on salespeople, and now you're like, the salespeople don't understand because you're
never catching up.
Yes, correct. And so we're starting to catch up, and we're eating these guys for lunch. Like literally went to dinner tonight or the other night with the guy. One of our competitors got him under contract before we got there, and I took him to dinner the other night. He's like, "You guys are completely different. They're not delivering on what they sold us.
Of course,
I'm gonna go to you. Like I don't care if I just paid them money. Like we're going back to you. We're doing that. We're doing with the incumbents. Like we're competing with Sneak and GitHub Advanced Security. We're stealing deals. It's awesome. And so we can go head to head with the big 1,000-pound gorillas, and we have a significant amount of differentiation that we're getting pulled upstream into enterprise, and it's our approach. Everybody went one way in our space, and we went the completely different way with a big bet, and our bet is looking to win. And now we're completely differentiated from all the lemmings. So it's awesome.
Yeah, that's amazing.
But yeah, but 2022 is when all that education started to pay off, and you kind of had your fingers crossed, and you had hope and faith that these things would go. But yeah, our partners started to turn around and give us business and leads, and all of a sudden we started making revenue. So we went, from zero to, $500,000 to over $1 million to, now we're closing in on several, and now we're raising our next capital round. And, so it's been a journey, and it's just been, getting sales operations going is freaking hard. Getting product development operations is hard. Like getting every part of the business is hard, right? And to keep all those things on the rails as your investors are like, hire more people, get going, get sales, da da da. So it becomes
move faster.
Yes, move faster.
Right.
So
how many employees you guys have now?
we're almost 28.
28.
Yeah.
And you have a lot of your engineers are in LATAM.
Yep, a lot of them are in LATAM. They've been with us a long time, most of them. And
That's awesome.
Designers from LATAM. So a lot of our team is here too.
Okay.
But we're remote in the U.S. Probably about 5 people in Jacksonville. But yeah, our LATAM team is awesome, and their culture aligns really well with how we see things, and they're very loyal to the company, which is awesome.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, there's been a huge shift towards more engineering down in LATAM over the course of the last few years. So that's really cool that you guys did that.
Yeah, and it was kind of luck too. So like Joe, our CTO, was friends with our director of engineering, Mauricio.
Joe from Black Knight?
Yeah,
he
was
worked
at Black Knight. Yep.
I remember Joe. That's
It's
awesome.
It's funny too because they were clients, right, at the previous company, and me and Joe knew each other for years, and we just like ran into each other at the right time. And I was like, hey, I'm working on this. He's like, I want to be part of that. And so we basically started executing.
That's awesome.
So yeah, and then Alex Barhani is part of our team too. He was the deputy CISO over at CSX. He was the CISO of Web.com and former unit chief of cyber terrorism of the FBI. And so, we had some pretty big clout, going out the door. And that's what I created at the beginning, is like, how do we, this small Jacksonville company that is I'm not known for cybersecurity. So how do we add people to the team that has this experience that has the background that we can kind of live on and grow?
So from a hiring perspective, based on you saying that you didn't have a cybersecurity background and it is a startup, and I could list all the things that would give your executive team or anybody that you're trying to hire prior to them being your executive team pause. Like, as hey, I'm Jeremy Vaughan. Like, I'm building this thing. Walk me through a little bit of how that's been so prosperous for you, because you've done a great job in coaching people in what your dream is, what the product is, and then them taking a gamble, really. I mean, every time someone accepts a job, a lot of people don't think about it like this. And a lot of recruiters don't even think about it like this, because there's a lot of really crappy recruiters out there. But they have someone's livelihood and their future in their hands when they're trying to negotiate and make deals or convince their candidate to take that job. So with that, like, what was kind of your process in pitch, in really, I guess, showing your heartstrings for this product to then go from the small ragtag that you started with to now 28 people?
Yeah. I mean, obviously it changes from the beginning, right?
Sure.
Like at the beginning, it was
well, let me start with because you do have some extremely intelligent people working with you. So walk me through your building your executive office, your chiefs.
Yeah. So at the beginning, it was I just shared the purpose. This is my daughter's story. This is the mission of the company, and we already have a solution that just needs to be evolved to a SaaS or software as a service type of play. But it was really spending a lot of time with those specific people and getting them on board with the mission, the vision, creating that shared understanding. This isn't an ego statement, but like I think people get a read from me that I'm very authentic and genuine. And it's not that I want to create a family. That's not business, right? Like we are creating a business, and I'm very upfront about that. Is whatever I need to do to make this business successful, I'm going to need to do, right? And so I need people that's going to come in and execute. And if you can't execute, like you can't be part of the company. But like this, like when I say we're on a mission, we're on a fucking mission, right? Yeah. And so I think, I'm a nice guy. I'm nice. But like, and when things are going well, like we can all be good. We can all party. We can all, have a good time. But like, you got to keep that mindset. We're executing. Like there is no time for games and missteps, right? And so, but I think the seriousness of that, that we're actually going to make this thing real, like that was authentic. Mm-hmm. And it, like being that I've done businesses in the past, and people know that I was the one that was making it successful behind the scenes, enabled me to capture like, hey, I've done this before. I've done this before several times over, and not that I don't have any failures, but I'm also very serious when I put my heart into it, right? And so I think I could get other people's hearts into it as well. That's what worked at the beginning.
So when you entered the room, it wasn't like you were entering the room as Oliver Twist panhandling. It was you already you had some credibility, right. Instead of it was like, hey, I've got this idea,
right? And that's honestly what a lot of like. I've always been told this, and this is like over the last couple of 16, 17 years, I'm always the most prepared in the room. Not the smartest in the room, just to be clear, but the most prepared. So like, meaning like I'm the most read. I know what's going on in the industry. I know what's happening. I know who's getting acquired. I know who's working on what strategy. I know their pricing. I know you want to talk about my industry. I'm more in depth in like more than anybody could be. And like when somebody's like, oh, do you know so-and-so, or have you seen this? I'm like, yeah. And here's what they're doing, or here's what they did. And like having that as a backdrop of like
huge,
a CEO that knows what the fuck is going on, pays attention, has a plan, has a strategy, gets people trusting you and excited, right? Because now they're just like, I want to join that, right?
And it's interesting to me that you didn't come from a security background, so the fact that you now are an expert in cybersecurity is mind blowing to me, because you came from accounting, like it's
accounting, investment banking, to tech, so I've reinvented myself several times, and Jen has always said like you have the ability to create opportunity and money out of nothing, and I've proven that over and over again. It's like really cool because I'm like building the plane in flight when I have no clue what the hell I'm doing,
right?
Or how to fly,
exactly. So I learned how to fly now. Yeah, that was the last 5.5 years. But yeah, my thing was like I'm just super naturally curious. And I, at the beginning, it probably sounded like dumbass questions that I would ask, like, "Hey, what do you mean by that? What are you guys doing?" So, like, working with engineers,
right?
They would do those lunch and learns where most salespeople or most people on the business side would not go to, right? And so, like, no, I'm sitting in these lunch and learns. I want to understand what the hell is going on. I want to learn how to speak to you, and like, being part of innovation and like, how do we actually build software products? I would just like fully engulf myself in that culture and learned, right? And then when I got into cyber, same thing, right? I need to learn. I need to read, need to take courses. I need to, understand. So I speak compliance, I speak cyber, I speak engineering, speak executive, finance, whatever. Before I'd always be like, what the hell does a CEO do? Right. And now I'm like, oh shit, a CEO actually has to know all of this. Right. And
everything.
People think CEOs don't do anything. Right. They're like sitting there, ivory tower.
Right. They're the face.
Correct. And no, they're managing everything to be on the rails that you don't know about.
That's very, very true.
to make everything.
The most effective CEOs do that. They know everything.
Yes.
They are the smartest person in the room in most cases.
And making things seem like it's running smoothly and seamlessly, and there are no hiccups, right? And so I always joke, I'm like, every day I wake up and I'm like, what the hell is the world going to throw at me today? And what am I going to have to deal with? And it doesn't cause me really stress and anxiety anymore, because it's just an expectation. It's what am I going to have to solve today? And yeah, it's going to push other things that were a priority aside. And then I got to stay up later and work on the weekend or whatever it is.
Right. How did you, so with Start Left, one of the things that I actually always found unique about what you guys are doing is you've kind of gamified the security space. How did you guys land on that? Like, where did that idea come from? And then and that's a unique value prop in the market. No one else is doing that.
No one else is doing that.
Tell.
Nope. Go ahead.
I was going to say no one else is doing it yet until they try to steal it.
They try to steal it, yeah. Well, we did actually file a patent on the gamification of your security program and the engineer's work product. So that's in patent pending status. We accelerated that. And by the way, we will now have 3 patents on this platform. The first 2 were filed before the category was even created by Gartner and before competitors even started showing up. So everybody's infringing on our shit.
Yeah.
So that's a good value proposition for whoever's going to acquire us. I can't really do anything about it now, but we put in a lot of work and effort and thought. And in that one patent is a lot of innovation moving forward that we haven't even gotten to or talked about yet, which is awesome. So like they can steal our shit, but again, we pay attention and we innovate. We out innovate more than anybody else.
What I like about what they can steal your stuff, but they can't steal why you do it.
Correct.
Right. So that's one of my favorite lines that Simon Sinek said. Like, you can copy what I do. Right. You can copy how I do it. You're never going to be able to copy why I do it.
And you're always going to be behind.
Exactly.
And so
yeah, that's awesome.
Why did we do it is inherently built into how we architected the platform too, though. Right. And so if anybody wants to get into how we're doing it, the gamification, all that kind of stuff, they're going to have to re-architect their whole thought process and how they actually do the implementation of their platform. And what I mean by that is, while everybody in our space is vulnerability centric and tool centric, that made them build a platform in a specific and certain way. All of our competitors did the same exact thing. And so what we did is, taking our knowledge from the chief product security office kind of delivery model, what we said earlier, is we built a program centric and a people centric platform. And I have an article coming out in Forbes about this. Is like, platforms are the future, not tools. And it's got to be people centric, because ultimately who's managing the security programs are freaking people. Like, why are we forgetting about the people? And I've talked to a couple of seats.
And they have vulnerabilities. They make mistakes.
Vulnerabilities are part of it.
Correct.
Like, it's not the center of it. Right.
Right.
So, so we do a lot of things around vulnerabilities too. Prioritization, blah, 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 the same table stakes crap they do. But what are we doing differently? And the gamification came about is 3 things that we noticed that are problems that nobody's solving is the organizational design of companies needs to change to, back to my earlier statement about Gene Kim, high performing teams, DevOps. What is DevOps for? High performing teams, high quality software. High performing teams are in small, autonomous, surgical teams, and that's how you build high quality software. That structure has to be there, right? So you see Microsoft going in this direction of they're building team structures in their organization. They're assigning deputy product security officers into every team. Then they're driving incentivization programs. This is all manual too, by the way, right? So they're moving this in the direction of what our platform facilitates them to move faster in that direction. So I'll get into that in a second. Then you have culture change, right? So like DevSecOps is not working. And so the darling in our industry is Wiz. The dude just turned down $23 billion from Google to get acquired. We're all like, what is happening? Right? And so that's a little shift left approach, cloud security. Cloud security's built yet another silo in security. So infrastructure security people are now separated from cybersecurity, from product security, from application security, and DevOps. So like, how are you, this $23 billion valuation, actually solving for DevSecOps. You're not solving the freaking problem. Yes, it gives good security insight around cloud, but they're not solving the problem, right? And again, this is all people.
That's like a Band-Aid.
Correct. Which that's what everybody does in cybersecurity. Let's buy a tool. It's a Band-Aid. They go through tool churn because it didn't actually solve the problem. We're focused on the problem, and it's people-centric. The last one is people empowerment. So then you got org design, cultural change, people empowerment. What does people empowerment mean? Well, if you're a developer, and actually CISOs have said this, is like the developers are the first line of defense, and we're not paying attention to them.
Right. We're not giving them anything.
Nothing.
Right.
We're just trying to drive change, and we're just putting on the developers. So developers aren't adopting this stuff. CTOs aren't adopting this stuff because it goes against what they are incentivized to do, which is speed and velocity and quality, right? So CISOs are like, I don't know how to do this. Well, these are the three problems again. Let's focus on this. People empowerment. You're a developer. You build a vulnerability into the code or create a compliance issue. We're serving up micro-learning content and modular content that's comprehensive to you as a developer. It's individualized, situational, and then the gamification starts to kick in from there, right? So based on tasks, based on training, based on the things that they're doing, based on how fast they're doing them, and not creating the same issues over and over again, we built a whole points-based system in there. Developers are earning points. With those points, you earn badges. You show up on leaderboards. We have this feature coming out with Get More Cowbell, where you can actually give your colleagues. It's awesome. Give your colleagues like, hey, great job, man. Yeah, we're making it fun, right? And so like this is the first iteration of gamification. Our creative director is like, I have ideas, and I was like, slow your roll, dude. Like we can't go that far yet, like to turn it into an actual game. But we're trying to introduce like fun features that incentivizes appreciation and gives appreciation and incentivizes like to become masters of your craft. And so the whole industry has like kind of separated vulnerabilities from quality, and we're like, no, vulnerability is just part of the job. It's tech debt. It's a quality issue. Stop separating it. Like this is how you do it. So like when we do implementation, we help them adopt the product-based team mentality, and we're actually contextualizing everything from security down to developers and that product team, and then giving them those insights, giving them that training, the coaching, the guidance, the mentoring, essentially pushing that chief product security officer mindset into every single team and every single person. No one in our space is doing that. We're using AI to do that. We're using ML to do things like deduplication in our prioritization. So like we're all about how do we drive the right actions with actionable insight as quickly as possible while upskilling your team and then driving that accountability where it's more fun and you can manage the incentives in the right way.
Yeah, it's engaging.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Hey, this is the whole like Pete said, overnight success doesn't happen, but this is like the thinking of a decade being built into a solution, right? Like we weren't this genius about it, like, 8 years ago. It was
right
as we hit the next problem, how do we build, to solve that? And it ultimately us listening led us into building a completely differentiated approach. And even though we're not creating a new category, I don't want to do that right now from a marketing perspective, but we've been told that you've created another category. And that's pretty damn cool.
Yeah.
So I'm very proud of that. All of our employees are very proud of that.
So I guess what to expect when expecting. So your entrepreneurial journey. So what you wish you would have known. But the thing that it's the most gratifying, I guess.
Yeah.
About your journey, other than, oh yeah, I'm successful and the thing that I finally did is coming to fruition, but a little bit more in depth.
Yeah, I would say continuous learning and reading and the expectation that there's always going to be problems, and some of them you'll be familiar with and a lot of them you're not going to be familiar with. But if you have you build in the expectation that something's always going to go wrong, and you're going to have to solve it, and you kind of lose that anxiety and stress. But with the anticipation of like, you're probably gonna have to read about this or do some research, or I would suggest creating a mentor network or an advisor network that you can reach out to. And I've been told myself that I'm a good listener, and I take advice and I actually implement it. And your advisors and your coaches actually love that, right? And so I formed that network to take advantage of it, right? And if you're not listening to your mentors and advisors, like you're wasting everybody's time. So I think a lot of people, like, they get on their high horse and they're like, I'm not going to listen to anybody. Like, I know everything, whatever, right? No, you need help. Like, admit that you need help, get that help, implement the feedback.
Yeah, it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah, exactly. And it's okay. Alex always says, nobody knows everything. Nobody knows anything,
Very
actually.
true.
And he always says that because we're like, I don't know what to do. You know, I've never experienced this before. So just overcome it. Like, you just got to work through it. But then I can't remember the other question.
I think you answered it. Even if you didn't, you did. You've done a great job. It's been a great conversation.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just the resilience, right? That's like the big thing. It's like, and again, it's the hard things about hard things.
Yeah.
So entrepreneurs are going to face challenges every single day.
Yep.
And it's how you overcome them and how you face them.
Yeah. And it's
head on.
And it's the pivoting, right?
Oh yeah.
So like,
learning immediately what's going on, seeing the opportunity, right? It's not like the fail fast, right? Like, I normally don't like that because it's not a failure if you're learning.
It's a learning. Yes.
Exactly.
And that's what you got to do is like, and we pivoted, even though I say we've been focused on security the whole time, we've pivoted several times. And
Sure you have.
I didn't realize the high barrier to entry to this space was.
Right.
And so like, it was incredibly frustrating, but now we're actually like winning against the incumbents after this many years. is gratifying, but at the same time, during that whole process was very frustrating because it's like, man, and then they'd come out with like bigger funding, and they're like, shit, they just delivered everything that we just been working on for the last 6 months. And so, okay, how are we going to out innovate them, right? And so I would say the other thing is like, always don't freaking copy your competitors. Maybe that's the whole thing is like, go in with your eyes wide open and your ears wide open and freaking learn from your customers, and they will tell you the path. And it's cool when the competitors are already in there, and then they're like, well, they don't do this, and this is a pain in the ass, and if you guys did these 10 things, you would win every single sales call. Cool, we're building that shit in.
Right.
So it's, to your point, you don't have to be first, right? In fact, sometimes being first shows all of the other competitors that are maybe a little bit slower, all of your works that we're going to take advantage of. Mm-hmm. So I'm okay with it.
No, that's awesome. Well, thanks for being here, Jeremy. Really appreciate it. Thanks again to The Link for hosting us, and Regu, and obviously all of our sponsors for helping out. And then, so another real quick thing, Jeremy, you're speaking at the Society of Technology Explorers conference on Monday, the 26th.
Oh, it's Monday.
So yes, so definitely come on out.
He's gonna have a lot to say about things that you don't know because he hasn't said them yet.
Yeah.
So
maybe you can ask me questions.
That's such a deep statement.
That is so deep. It's time.
Israel's
everything
so
runs
deep.
Everything runs on time.
Everything runs on time. That's awesome.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Jeremy.
See you on the next cast.
Thank you.